Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. We've got something kind of exciting planned for this video. So this is one group of our replacement heifers. We've got them split into two different groups. So we're bringing them back to the house. They're going to be calving here in a week, 10 days. The first ones will start trickling in. But we need to work them all. We're giving them a second round of their scour shot, which isn't for them. It's passed on to the calf through their milk. It starts building up antibodies in the milk, and then it's passed on to the calf. So we're doing that, but what's really exciting is most of these are we already have DNA tests on them, but there's about 40 head that we don't yet. So we need to take our last 40 DNA samples and then we'll send those in and get those tested. But we're also, in the end of the video, gonna go into the DNA test that we already have of some of these heifers and just look them over, see how the herd looks, and just kind of play around with it. So it'll be pretty fun. Come on, girls. Hey, come on. So the other half of them we hauled over to the house this morning, and there's only one load left. Jock and my dad are going and getting that last load now. And then me and my mom and Damaris and Silas, we're gonna bring these over to the house. Then we can just work them all at once. Need a ride, gate lady?
Yeah.
Okay, hop in. How's little Bubs?
Well, he was just crying.
Was he?
Yeah.
Think he's cold or what?
I don't know.
Hey, buddy. I don't think he's too cold.
No, he's doing good.
Yeah. How are you today?
Not too bad.
Not too bad. So this one hasn't been tested yet. We're gonna get a quick DNA sample from here. Get a little cartridge with their sample in, and we send it into Agboost, and they'll give us some DNA results back in a couple of weeks. I realized we couldn't really get a good look at the heifers while we were working them, so I decided to just take some videos of some individually while we're out feeding. So we got them all worked, turned them out, gave them some hay, and now we'll just go through a couple and look at them and just compare them to what their genetics say. So usually we have to make decisions every year on which cows to cull or to sell and get rid of, and we do that just kind of by looking at them, looking at how well the heifer looks, how sound she is, her eye appeal, and pretty much how docile she is. If she's really wild, we'll get rid of her. So there's a lot of traits that we can't see from the eye, and those would be helpful to know when deciding which ones to cull or not. So finding out their genetics is going to be huge in that way for us. So let's look at a couple of these ladies. We're working with a company called Agboost doing all this DNA testing and genetic stuff. We send them our DNA samples, they get the results, put it into a software that's really easy for us to look at. So that's what I'm gonna dive into now. But if you guys are interested in this stuff and you wanna try it out on your herd, or maybe wanna tell a neighbor, I'm gonna put a link to Agboost. You can check them out. It'll be in the description of the video. I'll probably put it in the comments too. So you guys can check that out. I think it'll be a really valuable tool. So the first thing I'm gonna do when we get into Agboost is here we can see the averages for all of our heifers. So we've got all of them in here except for the 40 that we tested today, as you guys know. So they're 49% Angus, 50% Continental, which is Semitol, which is pretty cool that we can see that. And then we have all the averages for all of these traits. So I'm not going to go through what they all are, but like this is birth weight, intramuscular fat, docility, ribeye area, tenderness, scrotal, weaning weight, yearling weight, a bunch of stuff like that. So if we look over here, we can see a little more clearly our averages. So we can see all of our heifers are scoring pretty well in having big carcasses. So they've got heavy carcass weight. We've got some pretty good rib fat thickness, ribeye area, yearling weight, weaning weight. So they're doing really well on what we call terminal traits. So there's two types of traits. There's the terminal, which are these carcass traits, and there's also maternal traits, which are more like your birth weight is one of them, your milk production, fertility, those kind of traits. So if we want to look at them on just terminal analysis, we're able to do that, see how they score, and we can also look at them on just a maternal analysis, which is pretty interesting. So they're pretty well evenly balanced. There tends to be kind of a negative correlation between terminal and maternal traits. So if you go too heavy on some traits like the terminal traits, you lose a lot of your maternal stuff. We in the past have selected for a lot of the terminal traits as, you know, our biggest moneymaker in our business is selling our fat cattle, our steers and heifers finished through a feedlot to big meat packagers. So we get rewarded for, you know, cattle that are going to grade well in quality and yield grades. So we've selected really heavily on the terminal traits, and I was kind of interested to see if the maternal would lack because of that, but in here we can see that it's pretty well evenly balanced. So Silas is going to help me now. We're going to start looking at those heifers. So here we can go to trait focused or animal focused and just select one at a time. So we'll do select none.
2120. I think she's a decent heifer. She's pretty well built. I like her. I think we probably would have kept her. 2003. She isn't too bad either. She's a little thin, so it's hard to compare to the rest. But I like her. She's real long bodied. I think she's a pretty nice heifer.
2003 first. Let's check her out. So this was one that I liked. She's an above average heifer, 6.9. So she's got a good foot score, which is important as we do, you know, run up in the high country in the hills on rough terrain all summer long. Really good on the terminal traits as well. She's a little lower on the maternal traits. She's eating a lot, not necessarily a efficient cow. She's kind of expensive to feed through the year. Her teats and udders might not be great, but overall she's a pretty decent heifer, 6.9. That's not bad at all.
2116. I really like her. I think she's really well made. She's got a stubby little tail, but I like her. She's a nice heifer.
2116. Let's check her out. Another one I liked. She's a 5'8", so she's not quite as nice as the last one. Yeah, good maternal cow though, and she's got some good terminal traits too. So kind of interesting to see which ones they score well on, which ones they don't. And a lot of these I've noticed that our birth weight is a little high, which is kind of interesting too. Especially last year, you could tell when we were calving, we were having some pretty heavy calves. So that's something we could change with this genetic results, with these DNA results. We're able to match our weaknesses in our cattle with bulls that are strong in those. So there's no more guessing with EPDs. There's a little bit of guessing, and I won't get into EPDs because they're kind of confusing, but this is a little more, I think it's a lot more user-friendly and just easier to understand than like EPDs.
All right, let's find some that I don't like. Let's see, 2152. She's a little small. I like how she's built, but she's a little small.
2152. She was a little small, I thought, but she was pretty quiet. So let's see how she looks. Docility, she was only a 6, so she wasn't super quiet. Wasn't as quiet as I thought. Even though she was a little small, she's got still some decent terminal traits. she's a little more efficient cow, so that's actually nice that she is small. She's probably not eating as much, or what she is eating, she's converting pretty efficiently. Since they aren't standing still, it's hard to get a real good look at them. So just at a glance, I'm gonna see what I see. 21, 22, I'm not a huge fan of her. She's kind of just tall and lanky. We'll check her out. 21, 22. I was not a huge fan of her. She's kind of tall and lanky. Let's look at her. Well, I guess I probably would have gotten rid of her, but as we can see on here, she was better than the last one that I like. So 6.7, pretty decent heifer. All right, 2084. Not impressed with her really at all. All right, she just doesn't look nice. She's really shallow. Kind of falls apart everywhere. That's probably the one that I like the least so far. So I hope we have a test on her and we can look at her, see if I'm wrong. Maybe she's the best one out here and we should keep her. 2084, which was another one that I did not like. And she's a 6'3", so she's really an above average heifer as well. One that was really big. This one, let's check her out. So she's really big. She's gonna have a big carcass weight. Not a bad heifer still. And I wish we could find some that we really don't like. We are able to go here on trait focused. I've got all these ones selected. So we'll just start over, select all. So here we can look at traits as a whole. So if we wanted to look at tenderness, we can see which heifers are our best. So 2054 was our most, she's gonna produce the most tender calves. And here 2057 would be our worst. So if we want to just look at certain single traits, we can go here, see which heifers are our best and which are our worst, and we can cull them out really easily. I can slide this up and get rid of our lower portion of them. And if you refine it, it gives you your results for the ones that you culled off. So say we wanted to sell those lower portion ones, lower half, then this is what our herd would look like. But I want to create it new and select them all. So it's kind of interesting to look at. The docility one is just easy. This is going to be our wildest, 2099. She's going to be a little crazy. And 2155, she's going to be eating out of our hands. It's another interesting one. Carcass weight. And then if you want, if you're going back and forth between two heifers, if you don't know which one you want to get rid of or keep, and you want to compare them side by side, you can do that. Look at any traits, which is pretty interesting. Now we go back to our overall. Our best heifer was 2162. She scored an 8.2. So I have to go out in the field and check her out. And then our worst was 2213, 2116. A couple that we could probably get rid of if we culled out. A couple of these lower end ones, they'd probably help our herd a lot. So there's a lot of tools that you can use with Agboost. I'm just kind of having fun messing around with it and coming up with different ideas on what we could cull and just seeing what traits our herd is weak with. What's that thing? A teeter? What is it?
Just something that you want to.
Oh. Hey, that's pretty cool. It's really interesting to see how our DNA looks in these heifers. Our goal is to do this every year with our replacement heifers, and eventually we'll have DNA on all of our cows. So we can take that and we can be a little more effective with the bulls we pick to breed our cows. We can, or if we're gonna AI, we can choose bulls that way that are gonna be a lot more effective too, to just get the goals that we want. So here we've got somewhere to start to actually see how we're doing rather than just looking at a cow or a heifer and guessing. You know, we always thought we had decent birth weight cows and calves. We knew they were a little big, but we didn't know we had, you know, quite a few that were pretty big. So it's interesting to see that on here. So I think this is going to be really valuable. This is just one way you can use Agboost to help manage your herd, culling cows, but man, there's a lot of cool ways that you could use this, and I'm excited to use it in the future. Just kind of dig into it and mess around and see what happens. Who knows? But hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure you check out Agboost if you're interested in doing this with your herd. Yeah, thanks for watching. Really appreciate it, guys. I'll see you in the next one.